Welcome back to the next lesson in the Find a New Way to Live challenge. Today we are talking about values. We're going to start to talk about what is important to us, and we're going to be able to identify what our core values are. Now, values are very important because they are our GPS navigation system for life. So we want to be able to take some time and get them calibrated properly. That way we understand what's important to us. And not just that we understand it, but that our actions actually support what is important to us. So during the process of finding a new way to live, these questions are going to help you evaluate and refine what is truly important to you and what matters most in life. So I want you to take a look below and answer each one of these questions as thoroughly and as thoughtfully as you can. And this is going to help you to be able to identify what your core values are. First one is, who do you most respect in life and what are their core values? So I want you to think about somebody that you really admire and respect and somebody that's really important to you. This may be somebody that you know personally. This may be somebody that you don't know personally. This may be a famous person. It may be a celebrity figure. It may be someone in history that's been dead for 100 years. But I want you to be able to think about somebody that you most respect in life. And I want you to think about what their core values are. So for example, somebody like Abraham Lincoln, they called him Honest Abe. He obviously valued honesty. He was a man that was been able to shape and influence our country and our history, but has also had a long-lasting impact long beyond his lifetime. So that's just one example right there. Maybe you value and look up and respect Michael Jordan. What were his core values? Obviously sports, obviously competition, obviously hard work and dedication, but what was it about him that made him important to you? So when you're thinking about this person that you most respect in life, I want you to write their name down. And I want you to be able to think about what their core values are. What is their belief system? In the most simplest way as you can, because I want you to be able to understand that what you see someone do helps truly define what their core values are. So as we go on, we're going to talk about what your core values are. And at the end, I'm going to leave you with, I want you to think about how your actions actually support what your values are. Also to know that these values are going to change over time. So wherever you are in life right now, you have a value system. You have beliefs, you have things that kind of guide your life, whether you are consciously aware of them or not. And that's what they are today. They were different 5 years ago, 10 years ago, maybe even 1 year ago. And hopefully you're able to identify and define what's important to you. That way, moving forward, you're able to make actions and take decisions and actually move forward based on your value system. So after you think about who you most respect, I want you to think about your best friend, somebody that you spend the most time with, somebody that you really enjoy being around, that's whether they've had a positive or negative influence on you, somebody that's really important to you, your best friend. And I want you to write out what his or her top 3 qualities are. So maybe you got somebody who's just a good friend and they just like to hang out and they like to have fun and they're real free-spirited and open-minded or loving or caring or compassionate. Maybe they really care about their family or their community, or maybe they just help you do things that you enjoy doing. But I want you to identify who is that best friend and what are his or her top 3 qualities. And from there, if you could have one more of any quality instantly, what would it be? So maybe it's compassion, maybe it's love, maybe it's commitment, maybe it's faith, maybe it's challenging. Maybe this is hard for you to be able to understand what one thing that you could have instantly, what would it be? Because that's going to help you identify and define what it is that you can work on. And that's what this whole program is about. It's been able to help you understand who you are, where you want to be, and what must you do between now and then. What can you do? What can you be better at? Or what can you work towards that's going to help you live the life that you want to live? So I want you to think about which personality trait, attribute, or quality do most people compliment you on. So maybe you always show up on time, or maybe you always do a real good job at whatever it is you're doing. Maybe you're really committed. Maybe you're compassionate and caring. Maybe you're somebody who likes to go above and beyond. If you're somebody who is able to work efficiently and do your job very well and then go above and beyond and help others do their job well, maybe that's something folks compliment you on. Or maybe, like I said, maybe it's hard to think about some things that people compliment you on. What are the 3 most important values that you want to pass on to your children? So this is going to start to help you think in a different light. When you start to think about what's important to you, you're able to identify, what is actually important to me. But then when we start to think about, well, what do I want to pass on to my children? And what must I begin doing or doing better? That way I can actually instill these values in the younger generation. That way, as they grow up and as they mature and as they develop into their own adult personalities, that they can actually have good qualities that were embedded in them from people that were close to them, like yourself. From there, I want you to really dive deep into this question here. It says, what values and principles are important to me? And I remember the first time I answered this question was probably 6 or 7 years ago. And at that time, I honestly answered what values and principles were most important to me. I valued relationships. I valued recovery. I value helping others. I value being able to grow personally. Personal development has always been one of my top 5 values. So I've been able to identify what was actually important to me. That way I could acknowledge, where do I need to be spending my time? And where can I invest my time and my energy? That way I'm actually doing things that are important to me, that are producing a result that I want in my life. Because this is what I don't want to happen. I don't want to sit here and tell somebody that my family is my top value and that I value family over everything. But then if you watch my actions and what I do, I spend 0 time with my family. So on one hand, I'm saying, yes, I value family as number 1 over everything, but my actions don't support that. That's what we're trying to avoid here. So if I tell you that my family is the most important thing in my life and that I value them above everything else, what that means is that I need to be able to be disciplined enough to actually live up to that value. And I need to spend time with my family, and I need to care for them, and I need to be able to be there for them and provide and be able to care and just be the person that they need in their life, right? So if I tell you that I value my job, my career, my education, my friendships, the community, where I live, if I value that, my actions need to demonstrate that. So I want you to sit down and think of some time. If you can fill up a whole page full of values and principles that are important to you. I value good, healthy relationships. So therefore, I need to be able to identify what is a good, healthy relationship for me. What does that look like? If I'm going to be changing the way I live and building new relationships, I need to make sure that what I'm adding to my life is actually going to be beneficial and not something that's going to take away from it. As we continue to move forward and start to thinking about the action steps that come along with this, what are we going to do? How do we actually apply what we're learning in this program to our own life? Hopefully by then, you've been able to understand, identify, and be able to clearly label the target as to what you want to do with your life. That way, when you start moving in that direction and you see an opportunity or you before you even create a new relationship, you can tell yourself, honestly, is this experience or is this opportunity actually going to add value to my life, or is it going to be a distraction? Right? So don't get me wrong. I like to hang out with friends and have fun and go out to eat and, do fun stuff too. But I value my family more than having fun. So what that means is that if you reach out to me, if someone calls me, if someone says, "Where's Eric? How do we get a hold of Eric?" Chances are he's probably doing something that's either going to be enhancing his family life, his education, his career, his personal development, or his education in one way, shape, or form. Those are my top 5 values, so that's basically how I spend my time. And that's not to say that that's how it's going to be forever, but at this stage of my life where I'm at, having a young child, being married, being able to have a family, being able to have a growing family, I've identified what my values are and all my actions support them. Moving on. So after you've been able to identify what values and principles are important to you, what I want you to be able to do is to be able to identify what your top 5 values are. So hopefully you've been able to brainstorm several, 10, 15, 20 different things that are actually important to you. Maybe this is the first time someone's asked you what's important to you. So maybe this is a self-exploration. Maybe this is an experience that you've never experienced before. So it's good to be able to understand to you what is important and why is it important to you. Only you can answer those questions. Only you can identify what's important. Only you can identify how you're going to be able to act that's going to support what is important to you. So I want you to be able to identify what your top 5 values are. Moving forward, these are going to be very key in actually being able to develop the life that you want to live, because you're going to have to understand what's important to you. You're going to have to understand what is the most important thing to you. And you're going to be able to have to understand, like I said, when an opportunity arises, does this support you? Does this help you grow? Does this challenge you? Or is it a distraction that you need to avoid from your life? Our values play a major role in our lives. They're almost like a guiding light. It's almost like, hundreds of years ago, they used the North Star as kind of like where to travel and which direction to go to. So these top five values are going to be like our guiding light. They're going to be the thing that actually holds value to us and shows us, is the path we're traveling down leading us to what we want, or is it taking us down a path that we need to avoid? We need to be aware of our values, that way we know what is important to us. Everyone that knows us, everyone that knows who we are and what we do and how we live, should be able to identify what our top 5 values are based on our actions and how we present ourselves and how we move about and how we move forward in life. So at this stage of change, moving forward, after you identify what actually is important to you, it may look a little different than how you were living before. So if you move forward thinking that, I'm moving down a different path and I'm doing different things, but everyone knows you based on what you've done before, there's going to be some challenge there. There's going to be a little bit of conflict. All the old people and the old friends and the family are going to say, you always used to do this. Why are you doing that? So what you may have to do is maybe explain this to somebody like, look, I value myself more than I value doing everything for everyone else. One thing that I've personally learned is that if I don't take care of me, no one else is going to, and that it's my responsibility to take care of myself. And if I don't, I can't blame anybody for what I don't have or what I'm not able to do, when I know that I am responsible for my own life. I make my own decisions. I call my own shots. I am the director of my life, and I'm able to clearly define what I want and move in that direction. Right? So when I say, if I identify a change I want to make in my life, what I'm going to be able to do is identify what that is, and then what do I need to do that actually is going to support me in making that change? Who do I need to surround myself with? What do I need to learn? Where do I need to go? What do I need to stop doing? And what do I need to be doing more of? That way, in the end, I get what I want. Right? I get what's important to me. And that is the purpose of this here, is I want you to be able to get what is important to you. I want you to be able to be so crystal clear about what your values are that you cannot be distracted by anything that's not important to you. And that is one of the major problems that we face today, is that we live in a social world where there's a lot of opportunities and there's a lot of people and there's a lot of judgment, and we place judgment on ourselves based on what we're doing and what others think about it. And in reality, the most important thing is, what do you want to do and what are you going to do about it? So being able to identify our values is key. It's crucial. It's one of the most important things that you can do. And like other lessons, this isn't set in stone. This is going to change over time. So if you value, being a father or being a friend or being a leader or being a student or being an employee, later down in life, as the kids grow up and move on and move out, things have changed. So you can't always identify yourself as that father, right? You can't always identify yourself as that leader. Sometimes you have to be able to lead, but other times you have to learn to follow. So it's not always set in stone. So this is good to evaluate at least once a year, maybe even more often than that, until you're able to get finely tuned as to what is important to you, what your values are. That way you're crystal clear about who you are and what you want, and most importantly, what you do. So last but not least, like I said, if you ask the 5 people that you spend the most time with what your top 5 values are, what would they say? Especially moving forward, I want you to be able to identify the values that you want in your life. How are you going to be able to incorporate more of that in your life? And then, like you said, moving forward, being able to accept the challenge, embrace the change that's happening in your life. That way, people that are close to you understand that you are moving down a different path and you are trying to move in a positive direction in life. So do these people support you in working towards this vision of yourself, or are they distracting you or holding you back? It's up for you to be able to decide which category these folks fall in. Are they somebody that's going to add value? Or are they somebody that's going to take away value? Are they somebody that's going to help support your goals and support your dreams? Or are they somebody that's going to pull you back and keep you stuck in that old lifestyle that landed you right where you are right now? Ask yourself these important questions. Sit down and think about them. Sit down and read the question and think for an hour. What values and principles are important to me? Why are they important to me? What can I do to demonstrate in my life that these values and principles are important to me? And the better you understand this concept and this mindset and philosophy that's important to you, the happier you're going to be, the more alive you're going to feel, and the better things you're going to make happen in your life. Talk to you next time.